welcome to Enlighten. I'm your host, psychic medium Alexandria Saar. You can watch Enlighten every Thursday at 8:45 Eastern Time, 7:45 Central Time. I hope you guys are all having such a lovely night. So I felt really drawn to talking about the topic of mediumship this evening, as well as how to prepare yourself for a medium session as an evidential medium, psychic, and life coach. I've been getting this question a lot more lately. How do we prepare ourselves? How can we prepare ourselves in order to receive the full benefits of this experience? And we're going to get into that. But for those of you who may not have had a medium session before, or maybe you're curious, I'd love to share with you a little bit of what I've seen that's really dear to my heart when I'm connecting with clients. I really love when we find this connection within ourselves and we recognize that we're connected to our loved ones. We recognize that they're there with us, from our day-to-day lives. Our loved ones will really go out of their way and go above and beyond to share that evidential message. All of us, we're really all mini mediums. We all have that capability and capacity. And once we recognize that beautiful connection within ourselves, which is something that I love to be a part of that experience with you and help you recognize that your connection with your loved ones, it can only get stronger as time goes on. You'll receive more signs from them. You'll start to discover and really expand your awareness as to how they communicate with us. So going into that, there's so many beautiful benefits of really having a mediumship session. It can be really helpful for you on your journey through grief. It can help gain a sense of closure. You may have some questions, some burning questions that have been on your mind, and you may just receive that during that session. Silly messages, inside jokes, I've seen it all when I connect and I bridge the gap between the afterlife and the physical. So our loved ones, they always know what is beneficial to our ultimate growth overall. So a little bit on how we can prepare for this. I always have found when we prepare for a session, mind, body, and spirit is at ease. That's when the flow of energy is the strongest. And going to the first tip is allowing yourself to have a check-in. How are you feeling? Where are you at in your journey in grief? Allowing yourself to make a checklist. What are some things that you would find beneficial for you, such as things that you would want to know, things that you want to discover within yourself? Do you need to go to a room that's more quiet and prepare a schedule so you can receive that maximum benefits? I always suggest preparing in all of those areas. Another tip too, one that I find really, really important, is find a medium and psychic that you feel matches your vibe. Doing your research, it's so important nowadays. There's so many different types of mediums, psychics, and healers. And once you have that checklist with what you intend to receive out of a session and where you're at in your journey, I feel that's the best way to find your match. There's celebrity mediums. There's so many different types. And looking through, their website, their Facebook page, even referrals, I find a lot of clients find me through word of mouth. And that's what I've seen is some of the most trustworthy referrals right there. And myself personally, when I get my own self-care readings, I go to someone through word of mouth. So everyone's different, but absolutely, absolutely do your research. You want to make sure that you're finding someone that is very reputable and someone that aligns with what you really would like to receive, especially nowadays. So guys, another thing that I find that's really important, not only for a psychic or medium session, but when we start this journey out of curiosity, or we have some healthy skepticism, because I really truly believe that all of us should have skepticism to a degree. We need to challenge things and question ourselves. That's how we're going to learn. But I do feel before we start this journey and before we, have a session, is allowing ourselves to open our hearts. That's how the energy comes in. That's how there's a flow. And sometimes what I've also seen is there can be a little bit of a blockage or less flow. And that's not necessarily always, a deal breaker. But even stating some intentions. I intend before this reading to have an open heart. I may not hear from this person because we can't always guarantee who will come through. It's always the loudest and clearest. Our loved ones will always be there for us. I always call it the lineup. They're always waiting, but in order to receive all of the insight or what we're looking to get out of this reading, I always suggest allowing ourselves to really go into this with an open mind and an open heart. Some people like to meditate before a reading. Some people like to have a glass of wine, going for a walk. It's been proven when we do some mindfulness exercises, such as breathing exercises, going for a walk, hanging out with your dog, or doing something that makes you feel really relaxed and at ease before, can really help with the energy flow. Energy flow is so important during a reading. And I always call it's like teamwork from all three of us. So coming at ease with an open mind and heart, with that checklist in your mind before, can really help with having a beneficial reading. And I just love talking about mediumship. I've dedicated over 8 years to this, so it makes me really happy to be sharing some knowledge for those that may be curious about this or want to try it. I found that it can be pretty helpful before a reading to prepare some questions that you may have for me or for the reader, as well as questions for your loved ones in spirit. And what I found most of the time during a reading is those questions that you write down, your loved ones, they know that. So you're connecting with them before the session even starts. And for me especially, and for the client, it's really transformative. It's a perspective changing experience to say, okay, our loved ones are connecting with us. It's like a phone call to heaven. When we think about them, it's an instantaneous connection. They're right there by our sides. And that's something I always love to remind, viewers. When we think about them, they're there with us. We're never truly alone. And we see that during a reading when they validate that sign that we found, that sign that came through the radio, or maybe a challenging time you were having the other day at work, or when you were talking to them. They always love to validate these things and validate these questions. So that's something that every time it happens, or a client tells me after the reading, I had all these questions down, I was thinking about this, and then they answered it. I always love to check and see if, you guys have questions first and after. So I always suggest to write down some questions and come into this knowing where you would like to guide or direct this, or what you would like to receive out of this. I have some great stories too as well, that it comes along with the next tip. Writing some notes down during this reading, especially recording it. Ultimate presence. When we're in that energy and we have this ultimate presence, it may be hard to remember everything after the reading. So that's why I always suggest, writing these notes down or these validations down or recording it. That's a gift for yourself that you can have for life. And a lot of the times I will hear from people after the reading, if something doesn't make sense right away, that's another reason why I'll suggest to write it down. It could come to you even a year later. Someone actually reached out to me the other day saying they had no clue what I said or meant about a certain validation. And then they found this coin collection that a grandfather in spirit was talking about. And it turns out during the reading, the grandfather validated that he was leaving it to her, and she had no clue what he was talking about. And then a year later, there was a passing, and she finds a coin collection along with a will, or there was a note where that coin collection was in fact left to her. A client of mine, this is all very heartfelt to me. She actually found a box with the letter inside of it, and he was telling her it was a note of love. Okay, and she found this a year after as well, and she reached out to me to let me know. So I hope all of these tips are helpful for all of you guys that are watching. And if you have any questions even after this show, please know that you can always reach out to me. And for those that are looking for their own private bookings or local events, you can visit alexsaarmedium.com. My Facebook is Psychic Medium Alexandria Saar. And I hope you guys enjoyed these tips. And as always, thank you so much for watching Enlighten on ARNR Psychic Radio. And I have stories I could tell for hours about those that have found those validations long after the session. So those notes and those videos are so important. And it's the gift that keeps on giving. So I am sending all of you guys so much love and light this evening. Thank you for tuning in, and I hope you guys have a great night.